and welcome to yet another edition of the BusinessWorld NewsX pre-budget roundtables. We've been discussing every host of issues that we can think of leading up to the big budget on February 1st. As I've been pointing out earlier, this budget isn't going to be the budget ticket that it used to be 20 years ago, and that's a good thing for India's economy. In a 45-minute speech, a lot of things have changed in the past 2 or 3 years, including the date at which the budget is presented. Over the next 25 minutes, we discuss what it means for you, what it means for the salary you take back home, and what it means for your savings, what you do with your savings, and all of that fits into the budget speech with the big ticket question, which we can only speculate on whether that tax bracket will change or not change, which leaves a few extra thousand rupees in your pocket. Joining us on the broadcast is Samant Sikka. He's the founder of squirrel.in. Chenthil Iyer is sitting with me. He is the founder of Horus Consultants. He's also an author on books relating to personal finance. Preeti Khurana, she's a chartered accountant and chief editor of ClearTax. I have Surya Bhatia with me. He's a managing partner of Asset Managers. And Tanwir Alam, he's the founder CEO of FinCart. Let me begin immediately with Surya Bhatia. Surya Bhatia, what are the problems right now when it comes with personal finances, personal tax?
I think you talk about personal finance and everyone looks at the budget with a clear indication and the clear expectation that you want the tax rates to go down. Mm-hmm. So period. I think no one wants to look at beyond it. I think, but actually it's more of an expenditure of your income and expenditure, how your country has behaved in the last 1 year,
yes,
how your deficit has shaped up. And that's how it represents when it comes to the budget presentation. And based on that, to be fair to the FM and its team, the cues have to come out from those events which has happened in the last 1 year, and which could be many which are beyond your control. For example, like oil prices, your global adjustments happening around the world. But based on that, you have to really manage your stuff well. It's like creating your own personal balance sheet for the country.
Yeah.
But my expectation from a third party, as an investor, as a personal finance guy, is can I make sure that my taxes go down by that little bit so that I'm able to save my money to maybe buy that extra thing in my life which I want to.
Okay,
my aspirations.
Yeah, it matters. Every 1,000 rupee matters for each and every one of us. Preeti Khurana, now, if you look at clear expectations of what we would like to see happen versus what is possible to happen.
Right. That's a very valid question. If you look at our GDP and our taxes, right? So the taxes as a percentage of GDP are quite low, which means not many people are actually going and paying taxes. That's a big worry. The major concern for the finance minister this year is going to be how he's going to manage these expectations vis-a-vis the room he has to make that accommodation.
I want to certainly discuss all the larger issues because you mentioned it right there, and we were discussing while we're leading up to this conversation of the bigger picture. But when it comes to just the people who are sitting at home, right? What should they be hoping for?
I think, if you go back historically, right from 2014, the finance minister has actually lived up to the expectations. So every budget since 2014 has had something for the income taxpayer. So there's bound to be something.
Okay, fingers crossed. That's where it becomes exciting. Samant Sikka, come in on that. I mean, what can we hope on? What are you hoping on?
So I think this government, if you look at last 3 years, has done some really heavy lifting in terms of front-ending initiatives.
That's the most diplomatic term I've heard used for it.
In terms of DMON, in terms of GST, in terms of Aadhaar. So they've really pushed through some serious agendas. In that process, I think the retail investor has really had a hard time. And I think therefore from an expectation perspective, I think co-panelists are absolutely right. People are expecting a little more,
little more return gift.
Softening in the purse, something that gives them a little cheer and joy. But I also feel that this government has also, while there are a lot of expectations that this budget is going to be populist, I personally feel that they've managed the treasury very well. And I don't think they're going to open the purse strings
open it up all of a sudden.
The other interesting aspect is that out of the 4 crore people who pay taxes, nearly 1.2 crores are in the 2.5 to 3.5 lakh income. So that's like a
50% of the tax comes from 1.5% of the tax base. Yes.
As well. Yeah.
Okay, Tanwir Alam, reasonably people sitting at home, why should they be caring about this budget?
So basically, the budget is one big event in an annual year.
Yeah.
Okay, and the announcement in the budgets directly affects their take-home salary that happens.
Yes.
Either by way of taxes or by way of the tax-saving benefits that is given, and that's what they care for. Now, I understand this budget, the government will have to manage a very tightrope being a populist and doing something.
Well, it is the final full budget. But what is the step budget? The GST Council is meeting separately. Half the things that we look forward to as journalists in budget is what will become more expensive and what will become cheaper. And a lot of that has gone to the GST kitty now.
So once GST has been rolled out, which means that there is always a scope for getting more indirect taxes in their kitty. So the direct taxes actually, since they form a very small percentage of the overall income of the government.
3.5 lakh crores. Yeah.
The larger picture is that, GST apart, you've basically got personal taxes left.
Yeah.
From a fiscal deficit, perspective, they are going off. Their target was to do about 3.2. They'll finish at about 3.4, 3.5.
Yeah.
The tailwinds that they had while the good times lasted, they did not take some of those decisions. So I think the elbow room there is very limited.
Okay, all right. So Surya Bhatia, elbow rooms are of course limited. We do run a budget deficit, and economics will argue that running a budget deficit up to an extent is a good thing. But if the budget has become boring, can the finance minister make it exciting for us?
I don't think so. He should do that. I think budget should be boring. Why do I make sure that my budget is an event and spread across the next 1 year? Because I need to act and act fast the moment something requires a change. Why should I be waiting for an event to happen, and I should be looking forward for it?
So it should be the RBI adjusting rates.
Absolutely. Why not?
It should be the GST Council tinkering and pondering and hopefully reducing rates across the board.
So look at this now. So now what they will do is only about direct taxation and telling your balance sheet for the last 1 year. That's all about it.
Okay, that's what it should be about. Okay, a quick look at larger question, then we're going to discuss what can hopefully see in the budget. Come in on this, Tanwir Alam. Now, the hint has been done that such a low percentage tax base and the growth of indirect taxes is far more than direct taxes. I think it's 8-9% growth in indirect taxes. Certainly not enough. What can be done? Because the dream is to expand the tax base. How do we get it away from that 40 million odd who actually file income tax returns?
In fact, what has happened to a great extent, the past event that was done will take care of the lot of the issues. For example, linking Aadhaar, that's happening, or the GST to a great extent puts a lot of corporate into that ambit.
But in the end, it has to be voluntary, right? People want to file in the tax return. What's in it? What's in it for me?
That's
you and I are, but what's in it for people who don't
today,
not
if you reduce the tax rate, then what happened? Possibly the number of people filing tax return could be much higher.
Okay. There are counter arguments to that also. Counter arguments. Okay. Let's everybody come in on the counter arguments. Okay, Preeti first.
Yeah, I think that would work in the opposite way. So
Why?
You should actually put all your resources.
Explain why. Why would it work? Why is it counterintuitive?
So, India has a history of onerous tax laws and onerous tax officers, who keep getting after you, and the recovery rates are very low. If you compare with worldwide, what is the percentage of queries that tax officers send and what is the recovery that happens in India is very low, which means that we have a system where, we make the tax officials run after taxpayers.
Yeah.
But what you need to do to increase the tax base as well as the tax revenue is actually let these 2.5 and 3.5 lakhs people fall out and then focus on the big fish.
Okay, big fish. 1.5% of India pays 50% of income tax. 4% of adults pay
Actually,
income tax.
100% pay.
That's fascinating. Well, technically, yeah.
Yeah, 100% pay taxes indirectly.
Yes, exactly.
So I am not a big fan of direct taxes in the first place. And considering that last year we got the lowest slab, got a benefit of 2,500 rupees.
Yes.
I expect the same to be transmitted to the second level as well. So I am looking at rationalizing the basic tax rates from 30% to 20%, 25%, and 20% to 15%.
Okay,
5%.
one issue, Surya Bhatia, one issue. Now, when it comes to a certain segment, the tax savings can hopefully be deployed and not.
Can you just add one point over there?
Finish your point.
Yeah, because the corporate rates are also getting rationalized now. That a lot of talks are going on in terms of rationalizing it from 30% to 25%.
Yes.
Why not give the same benefit to the highest slab?
Okay. Let's Surya Bhatia now. Look for a certain segment of an income class. Maybe the 2,500 rupees, 4,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees makes a difference and can be translated into spending. For a lot of people, I'm sure you manage, it's not going to make a huge difference. So how does it make for the people who are investing the large part of what goes into our capital markets, for that 2,500 doesn't make a difference? What's in it for them, or should they be taxed more?
See, you cannot tax a person more just because he's capable of paying you taxes, and just because you're not done things rightly, that you cannot tax a person who should pay some part of taxes. See, taxes are a percentage of what your incomes are.
Exactly.
Okay? So if I'm doing a percentage-based analysis, how can I just go on taxing the guy who is being taxed for the last so many decades and not try to rope in more people? So if they cannot create a structure where they can increase the tax base. They have to actually think out of the box. Because they've been trying very hard.
Okay, what is out of the box?
So something like
we have so many taboos. Large landowners that are in agriculture sector not taxed. There are taboos in India which we don't think about. Why?
So I think for us as a country, that's where the populist or the politics takes over economics. And that's been happening for decades at end. And I think the opinion on the street is this is the last one.
No heavy lifting on that part yet. No, too much.
So this is the last budget before the next election, and therefore again they will play to the gallery because they want to get elected.
One last
but
issue.
there is a larger point that I want to make. I think the larger point that I want to make is that for a country like ours, which is one of the largest savers in the world, our population which is investing in our own capital markets is very insignificant. A significant percentage of our stock exchange is owned by FIIs. I think some of the tax saving schemes that are being propagated, first at one level also help them a little bit in tax relief, cash home more, but also creates a little bit of a larger investment pool for them.
So it is forcibly an investment pool, but there has to be something to soak up that investment, right? I mean, there are X number of companies that their caps are just going up. I think 1.8 lakh crores come into the mutual fund markets in the past 1 year. Chenthil, you want to make a point quickly?
Yeah, so I would consider farmers to be a very big chunk of people who are anticipating a lot of benefits.
Absolutely right,
them. So 52, and I have grown up, hearing the percentage of farmers in India being 75% to 70% to 65 to now 52%. That is a big cause of worry for me and a cause of concern. So more than just because they've always been given some kind of a loan waiver scheme, nothing beyond a loan waiver has been thought about.
Okay,
and in fact,
what is beyond a loan waiver? What is better?
Minimum support price as promised by Modi in his campaign.
All right. Okay. One quickly,
which is connected directly to the expenditure involved.
Now, this is supposed to be in the end about low taxes in the corporate sector are supposed to be about driving job growth and economic growth. Preeti Khurana, when it comes to direct taxes, and if the larger scheme is promoting economic growth, the larger scheme remains promoting job growth, what can we do with direct taxes that helps there?
I think direct taxes are a very essential component of any economy. So I'll briefly, touch upon what is their role. So indirect taxes, you and I pay equally, right? So if there is a person who earns 2 lakh rupees or 20 lakhs, they both pay the same service tax on their cell phone usage.
Yes.
Right? So when you have direct taxes, you're actually taxing people according to their level of income.
Yes.
So there is a very important role that has to play. Now, when it comes to, how to make sure that direct taxes are acting as a they are boosting growth, right? One way to do that is actually to let people in the lower bracket fall off the watch out.
Yes.
And those who are in the higher brackets, both from indirect tax perspective. So if you're a business, then, your indirect taxes have to be linked to your direct taxes as well.
Okay.
So there has to be ease of filing your taxes, together with ease of doing your business, so that you're motivated to pay.
So make it easier. That makes a lot of difference.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go physically to meet that income tax officer anymore who might want X things out of you just to file a return. That's part. Okay. I've got only a minute left.
What GST has done to the indirect taxes, the same could be done to the direct taxes through direct tax code that they were talking about implementing. Okay. That will cause a lot of ease in terms of the return.
We are going to discuss how this changes in the budget on the other side. Quick thing I want to touch upon is the lovely article in The Economist, Samant Sikka, that India's middle class is missing. Is it?
I'm not sure it is missing. I think the fact of the matter is that the government also has to put where the money where the mouth is. When the guys who are paying taxes see bailouts happening with their money, I think it and the fact I mean, for people who live in Delhi.
No, but even if you look at GST, there are X number of companies that are paying the vast scale of GST, even most others are not. But is it missing? Is our middle class missing?
I think it's not missing actually in totality. I think they need to really make sure how do you tax in totality. That's where the point is being stressed upon. If you can tax upon the expenses, but it's again the same logic. It's a percentage-driven taxation.
Yes.
So if I spend 10,000, I'll be paying a tax only on the 10,000.
Yes.
And someone earning 10 lakhs, spending 10 lakhs, is going to pay a tax on that percentage.
Yes. Okay, percentage-driven. Okay, few things. I need to
quick disagreement if you
quickly.
Yeah, because I don't agree with this idea of direct taxes being that leveler in terms of everybody contributing to the economy in their own way.
So what is it?
Because consumption style differs from person to person.
It does.
Class level
Yeah,
to class
but
level.
there are lots of studies
so GST is not
including
actually equally applicable to everyone.
Yeah,
They're differentially
that's also
applicable
that's
based on
an
the
argument,
consumption patterns.
and there are Federal Reserve studies that'll tell you that cutting taxes does not necessarily increase consumer spending. We're going to take a short break. On the other side, we're back in just 2 minutes, where we discuss stuff like what can be done in the budget. He talked about the direct tax code. I know he wants to talk about the dividend taxes. What can actually be done, and how does that affect your personal finances? We're back in 2. Stay with us. Welcome back. We've been having a thrilling conversation, and I'm glad it's an engaging conversation that we can all understand and not throwing statistics at each other. Here's the simple premise. There's a budget coming up on February the 1st. It is not as much of a big deal as it used to be in India 20 years ago, but one part of it is a big deal because you see it happen immediately, which is the tax you pay. Will you save a few thousand rupees? Is it worth it for the Indian economy if you save a few thousand rupees, or would you rather see your salary and your net income go up through other means, and that's more valuable to you than a tax saving? How can that be achieved? Is it going to be the direct tax code? Is it going to be some budgetary indicators? Let's have that conversation. Let me start with Preeti this time around. Preeti, when the finance minister starts up, now he's going to be working on a premise. A premise has to be a vision. The vision has been delineated. We're talking the first segment about heavy lifting. That vision has also been delineated. Now comes the tinkering. What is the tinkering that he can do in direct taxes that needs to be done?
I think for direct taxes, the most important bit would be to, how to increase the tax base, right? And to give relief to some of the low-income earners. That's one.
Okay, we were discussing this earlier. How do you do it? I mean, it's the onion, right? How do you do it?
So this was done in the past budget. I think it happened in 2017 or 16, where they actually increased the surcharge on those who earn more than a crore, and then lowered the tax slab rate, like the 10% to 5% for the low income.
But then you have a whole
it's
bunch of people who
act.
file returns, but then don't pay any tax.
Yeah, so there has to be means to actually bring those people into the net, and like we were just talking,
okay.
Making your direct taxes easier,
okay.
Linking your indirect and direct taxes in a way that there is no mismatch there, and then making this entire feel about the department.
Okay, if I'm sitting at home, Samant Sikka, should I be worrying about my tax savings, or should I be hoping that if the economy does well, hopefully my net income goes up, my returns on the investments that I'm making, maybe in my mutual fund, on my bank returns go up, and that will make me a lot more money than a tax slab change?
So I think first of all, I believe the government is really putting their bets on indirect taxes. I think clearly they're betting on the fact that GST heavy lifting that they did will now start to pay back, and the collections will be fairly healthy. I think on the direct tax, they're trying to make you happy. I think you can expect some stuff around tax saving limits going up, some new tax saving schemes coming up, entitlements going up. So they will leave you some more money in your pocket and make sure that if the markets continue to do well, those monies create a wealth nest for
I was
you,
mentioning the
so to
point
say.
of the middle class, Surya Bhatia. Now, there will be a segment of people watching this broadcast who will see, look, there's this one rich class that has all these fancy Swiss accounts, and they do tax dodging. Then there's a whole bunch of people who don't pay taxes at all. We in the middle, the salaried class, get squeezed from both ends. What offer of succor can we offer in that direction?
No, but that's a wrong logic in totality. Just because someone is not being fair to the government, to the exchequer, and not paying taxes rightly, does not in any way give me any means that if he's not doing right, can I be wrong too? Or will government offer me some sops because of that? But the principal thought behind this is incorrect.
Thank you for being honest.
So simply put across, if someone is wrong, you need to be straight. And just being straight doesn't make sure that you are demigod.
I believe the income tax department now gives us awards if you are the
That's
most
right.
taxpayer.
That's right.
Yeah, you get a certificate. Yeah, that's a great thing. But okay, Chenthil Iyer, but come on, I mean, we are human beings, right? It might be wrong, but that's a reasonable presumption. That you look at, fat cats in their fancy cars, and you make a presumption. It might be a misguided presumption that, look, these guys, I'm sure, are up to something or the other. And is this a salary class because you get your salary with TDS and you have to file a return, and you're likely to most get harassed. How do you make those people feel better?
Increase the TDS on property sale, maybe.
Okay.
It's only 1% as of now, so it should be increased so that more and more people are expected to file returns and then claim their money back.
But the property sector will tell you we are hammered so much that the
So
last thing we
most-
want is more of
See,
And besides-
if you want to
besides
build
that-
the fat cats, then you have to be where they are, right? Other than that, there is no other means.
But
But
those
I want to make a
properties are the
quick
ones.
point here.
quickly make a point. Yes.
But
You must have heard about the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
We all know that our total tax 20% is coming from direct taxes, less than 20% coming from direct taxes. So instead of focusing on that, we should be focusing more on the 80% and give those benefits to people so that the people don't get hammered from both the sides.
Okay. So is the premise still right? I mean, should I be hoping that India does well, and I'm still a buyer in the India story, and if more people get jobs, they'll be earning more, and my investments will be going up, and my mutual fund investment, I'll make a whole lot more money than if I save 2,500 rupees a year.
Well, unfortunately, there's been a fantastic India story that we've been hearing about. But the pain, I think, the major pain for me from the budget is that I hear of the Bharatmala and I hear of smart cities and so many other projects, but I don't know where they went.
Whatever happened to
What
Startup
happened
India?
to those?
No?
So I think for the finance minister, I think if the indirect taxes are now out of the budget and it's only direct taxes, I think you should really focus on like a project report, like what happened to all the announcements.
Quickly, what can actually be done? What are you
I
hoping
think they
for?
have bigger challenges. I mean, if you look at it from their bigger challenges is job creation, what's happening on agriculture. You look at what's happening on our banking system. You look at what's happening on our telecom
But
debt.
you said heavy lifting with that we need some balm. What is the balm then? कुछ तो मिलेगा ना?
No, तो वो आपको tax benefit मिलेगा. I think
कुछ semi
the fact
benefit.
that 2,500 to 15,000 rupees of tax relief is all you can expect from
So
a
either
retail
you
investor.
can have a fancy dinner or buy a new phone.
But the larger point that I'm making is at least you are getting those people to invest their monies in a capital markets rather than putting it in PPF or NSE and so on.
An
and so
argument
forth.
for demonetization is also that help in that direction. Surya Bhatia, 10 seconds. What do we hope for?
I think you can just hope that this government does not tweak too much beyond a point, because you expect this budget to be a little bit on the populist side this time.
Yes.
Because Gujarat elections have not led them in good taste. So while they have won it reasonably well, but they still believe there's a nagging worry behind them.
And it's going to be won or lost on economy and not polarization. I agree with you.
So can I just quickly add one? The biggest learning from Gujarat election is what they had in rural India. If you go back to NDA 1, they lost it in rural and they did not go back to MSP, they did not do anything about
put
it.
into context,
so it's a very important lesson for them.
BJP swept urban Gujarat and did not do so well in rural Gujarat. Quickly.
So something specific for the farmers is what I'm expecting. And secondly, something specific for women taxpayers, because they've removed the difference between the women taxpayer and the male counterpart. So I expect them to bring it back, because they are a major
upset about sanitary pads and anything else.
Major voter base.
All right, Preeti Khurana.
So the populist side.
What do we hope for? Because the premise seems to be building is don't hope for much. Worry about the economy. Don't worry about direct taxes as much.
I want to continue to hope, and I hope that whatever has been announced in the past, there is like a project report on that, number one. Number two, there's no rollback. We've seen enough rollback on GST, many sort of walking back on what they had promised. We've seen a lot of walking back on, say, a couple of years back, they announced a lot of maternity benefits, where they said if you're a rural woman and you're going through maternity, these are the benefits you're going to get. And that has also been rolled back. So no rollbacks, please.
Here's what, I'm out of time.
Stay on the path.
I'm glad we've had an interesting conversation. And the premise that seems to be coming from this table is don't keep hoping that the government is going to keep changing tax slabs and therefore you'll get a few extra 1,000 rupees in your bank balance. Think of the larger picture, because we are all stakeholders in the larger picture. If India does well, if the government gets the things right, then we all become richer, hopefully healthier, and hopefully pay a lot more tax, and you get into a virtuous circle rather than the vicious circle that we've been in. Great to have a conversation.
Can I just give a message to the taxpayers?
Message to the taxpayers, sure.
Yeah. So my message is, let tax saving be a byproduct of prudent financial planning, and not the not what you actually go for.
Right.
That's from a
Chenthil, now as soon as you say byproduct of prudent financial planning, bas ho gaya. Viewer is going. That's a great message. Very, very inspiring. Okay, thank you all for having this conversation. I'm glad it was an interesting one. We leave it there. Thank you for watching the NewsX Business World Roundtables. We build up to Budget Day. Our coverage is non-stop, and we continue on the other side. Stay with us.